Good morning, book lovers of the internet. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I am Book Nerd 822, and it's been about a week now since I last made a video. In this video, I am going to be speaking about the book by Freida McFadden. This one is called The Crash. So, I've read another book by this author before, and this one is called the one I read before is called The Teacher. I even made a review about it on my channel since I am learning to become a teacher at the moment myself. So this one consists of about 355 pages. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. If you're interested in reading my review, there will be a link to the review in the description of the video. So there will be spoilers in this video as well. And yeah, honestly, I've been in my fair share of car crashes myself, and I've even witnessed a man getting hit by a car in real life. So I was very excited to read McFadden's take on what a crash is, considering that I read The Teacher and it was a rather good book overall. I wanted to give her yet another go, and I probably will read more of her books because she's an incredibly good author, in my opinion. And I'm not really into thrillers myself, but this book um, was rather fascinating. So, yeah, I mean, this was extremely compelling and suspenseful, and honestly, a role model of how characters should be written. They are well rounded, they all get to express their opinions and prejudices on another, whilst the reader is being given all the necessary points of view and allowed to draw his own conclusion. I found this to be an extremely enjoyable read and was surprised to see that the average rating on Goodreads for this one was not higher. I think it's about a 3.7 out of 5. So, yeah, I was surprised to see that it wasn't at least a 4.2 or a 4.3. It deserves better, honestly. I must admit that towards the middle of the book, the story annoyed me because it was going about in circles without much of a resolution in sight. However, that too paralleled well with what Tegan was feeling whilst being held hostage in a basement. So I can't really complain about that either because it had a positive effect on me as a reader. It helped me empathize with the main character. So basically, just to give you some context, this story revolves around this woman who was drugged and raped, finds out that she's pregnant, and 8 months into her pregnancy, she is involved in a crash during some sort of hailstorm. It's horrible weather. She um, basically smashes her car into a tree, and there are many, many layers to the story. I will speak more about that later. The guy who raped her, by the way, he tried to give her hush money so she wouldn't speak about the experience, and she was in a real desperate need for the money, but she didn't accept it anyway because she wants to speak up for women's rights and for how horrible it is to be raped. I mean, who wouldn't think so? Um, but yeah, after she wraps her car around a tree, she is saved by a man called Hank, and then she is held hostage in a basement by his wife, who really wants to have kids. And her plan is to birth Tegan's child and take care of it herself as though it's her own. And she didn't really care as to whether Tegan died in the process or not, which was rather frightening, to be fair. Um, it's horrible how the story was meant to revolve around rape, but it ultimately did not matter much, since what Polly did was arguably worse. I mean, come to think of it, murder is pretty horrible as well. You let me know in the comment section. Sometimes it's hard for me to differentiate between what is good and what is bad. Um, but I wonder if Polly would have felt the same way about the baby had she known that it was a product of rape after a man drugged and took advantage of Tegan. There is a lot of this dramatic irony which adds so many more layers to the story, but honestly, towards the middle is where it became rather boring when she was still being held hostage and there wasn't really anything new to add to the plot. That is probably why I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars rather than a then a 5 stars, the full 5 stars. I do feel extremely bad for Hank, to be honest. Hank is Polly's husband. Polly is the woman who was keeping Tegan hostage, because throughout he's a great man, and yet Polly tried to corrupt him despite her best intentions. It's a shame what mental health issues can do to a family, and yes, mental health is also quite a big deal in this story, and I can understand Polly's perception as well, um, because I can't say that I relate with Polly, I have to be honest, but I can see where she's coming from. I was able to put myself in her shoes. I feel as though it would have made more sense for her to have been totally transparent with Tegan and told her what her intentions were from the very beginning. Personally, I think I would have told her that I have a problem with infertility. I've been looking to adopt a child. Would you allow me to take care of your child since you are still young? You have your whole life ahead of you and you never really wanted the baby to begin with. That is the sort of thing I would have said rather than hiding my intentions, but that only added to the intensity of the story, which made it even more interesting. So I'm glad that all the characters got happy endings, the ones who deserve the happy ending, of course. But what happened with Sadie was rather predictable. Sadie is a young girl who was abused by her father, and yeah, the plot twists were um, thought provoking until the very end. You never really know a character's true colors, true intentions until McFadden tells you what they are. But yeah, Sadie was ultimately another spoiler, by the way. Sadie was ultimately fostered by Polly and Hank, so they got what they wanted. They managed to complete their family, and yeah, I mean, ultimately, Tegan's pregnancy, of course, made everything more complicated since at 8 months, a pregnant woman is a ticking time bomb, and with so much tension in such a short amount of time, this is accentuated, it is even more so the case. There were so many layers to the story, and McFadden kept unraveling them quite seamlessly, to a point where even I was shocked about what one of the characters Tegan loved did to her. Honestly, that amount of betrayal, and Tegan was able to continue living her life, to still take care of her kid, to still worry about the things that mattered. That is a very, very strong mind there. I'm pretty sure even somebody like David Goggins would have been proud of her persistence. Yeah, the plot twists were very delightful, as I mentioned, and they kept me on edge until the very end. I will not be spoiling what happened to Mitch, by the way, but he definitely got what he deserved, and I think Hank did the right thing. I'm fascinated by what McFadden was able to do with so little characters in such a limited setting. I mean, all she had was a basement and a house, and she managed, and a couple of characters, just a handful of important characters, and she managed to write a story which was thought provoking and brilliant, in my opinion. And it makes sense that she's a practicing physician specializing in brain injury, because she even managed to bring a tear to my eye, to my right eye, as a matter of fact, towards the very end. I suppose that the main message of such a story is that you create your own happiness, you are in charge of what makes you happy. And if you keep thinking about having something which you can't have and associate that with sadness or with something that disappoints you, then you will continue feeling that way if you do not get that thing you have in mind. So yeah, it honestly has a positive message as well, if we're being very, very honest. But yeah, I would definitely recommend The Crash. It has a good writing style. The chapters are short. It's a very, very quick read and fast paced as well, I would say. So yeah, that is all I had to say about Freida McFadden's The Crash. Would recommend this one. I think I enjoyed this one even more than I did enjoy The Teacher. And the themes are all very realistic. The morals in her books, they get you thinking about the way people live their lives, their true intentions, um, what they think about what they want to do, but they never ultimately execute. And yeah, I enjoyed this one more than I did The Teacher, I think. So would highly, highly recommend this. But yeah, that's all I had to say about it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, share, subscribe. Take a look at the rest of my content because why not? It's absolutely amazing. And I'll see you in the next one, hopefully very, very soon. Bye, guys.